Hello. Hi. It is the 4th of December. I'm hoping to get this video out somewhere this week. But it means our Blooming Readathon is over. And my card looks like this. I didn't get a single bingo. I tried. I did not read very strategically. I just kind of picked the book from the enormous pile that I had and hope for the best and then work out that way. Although if you take them like not like an actual bingo line, if you take them by piece, I do have like one of each letter, right? If I use it as like a check check mark kind of thing. But yeah, so that's it. It's for my first readathon that I've participated in. Um yeah. This is not piss, it's energy drink. I'm hoping it like wakes me up. I'm feeling kind of drowsy. Winter's not great. Um so I attempted to vlog, which you'll see after this section. An attempt was made. I've never vlogged before. I was way out of my element. So if you have any recommendations for that one, feel free. I guess after the vlog, depending on how I edit this, there will be the book reviews, the books I actually ended up reading, and we'll see. Okay, time for the vlog. I lied. My footage got corrupted, so you're gonna just have to take my word for it. Fuck. That's really unlucky for me. I've been trying to fix it. It's not working. I'm gonna need a little bit more energy drink probably later and some water. Okay, so I from the pile that I showed you guys last time, I've read two of them. The other ones that came on the list spontaneously is, and this was kind of what I was wondering about vlogging as well, because I got them as ebooks, which makes vlogging a little bit difficult since I use my phone for recording, which maybe I shouldn't do because. So I also read Never Whistle at Night, and I've read a graphic novel, also known as a manga, called Love is Hard for an Otaku. Wotakoi? Wotakoi. It's really cute, and I was supposed to be my happy read. Should I keep the bingo card on this? The thing is also, and this video is gonna like kind of probably reflect that I'm terrible at organizing, and so I thought it would be cute if the bingo card had like little icons and they all matched, but then I realized I don't remember which one is for which book. So, yeah. So, we're just gonna dive straight into the reviews. Oh, that's not true. I read one more because I read my first nonfiction ever. Other than, textbooks, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah. So I read Novelist as a Vocation by Haruki Murakami. And I read that one. These two, Don't Whistle at Night, and Wotakoi. Alright, now for the reviews. Oh, this is a disaster. Um, so obviously I didn't read as much as I thought it would. And it's kind of on me for not, calculating the weather and that it's gonna get darker and then my brain doesn't brain and that I was in the middle of moving and then a lot of other stuff. So the brain was not braining. This is as much as my brain could handle. Pretty much. But for this readathon, I read my first nonfiction book and I really liked it. And I actually managed to finish an anthology series, which is new for me because my issue with those like novels, books is that the stories sometimes are so different from each other that I cannot get back into them. And I ended up just never finishing them. So, two firsts, which I think is great. So the first book that I actually finished was Carrie by Stephen King. I So the reason I have a lot of icons on my bingo card is because I did do the crossover thing. So this one is my how do you call it? Dark. It is antagonist. It is propagation. because there is a movie of this that I've never watched because I am the world's worst horror fan. Um, I think that was it. Let me open the bingo card real quick. Oh, there was also like one spot that you have to read something before the 1990s or something. This takes place in the 60s, right? 19, yeah, takes place somewhere in the 70s. So that worked out. And it is, well, all of these are abroad from where I am. So that worked out. But yeah, so Carrie. A lot of people hail Carrie as like the first female rage novel. Which is interesting because like the few interviews I've seen of Stephen King, like he started writing it and then he tossed it, and then his wife picked it up and told him he really has something there. And he also thanks his wife in the book, which was really, really sweet. And I don't know why it made me cry, but it's also because I'm just weak. I am very soft. So, Carrie. Carrie follows a young girl who recently got into that part of her life where, you know, she's in chronic pain every month and she is relentlessly bullied. And if the bullying is not happening at school, it is happening in her house. Her mom has some very big underlying issues, and I feel. I mean, you do get a glimpse into them. I don't know how to do these reviews if I'm gonna do them spoiler or not. I'm gonna try to do them as much not spoiler as possible. But the mom has her issues. She went through some stuff. She has very interesting religious ideas. And Carrie just kind of grows up in all of that. And it's really hard for her, obviously, to have that happening at home and then going to school. And everyone in the book says that she's getting bullied. And I think when you think of bullying, you have a certain idea in mind. Maybe like, worst case scenario, they put like a, she also mentions it, like they'll put like a sticky note on her back, some saying something like, kick me, maybe pulling kids' hair, like verbally hurting them. But for her, it's kind of like the only bullying, bullying, because I didn't know there was like this level of bullying that I thought that was worse was the bullying that I read in. I can't read it from here. Yes, was the bullying that I read in this book. This book tore me apart. So Carrie is getting abused at school. And she gets into this new part of her life, like in womanhood, and she's developing, and um, with it comes power that is partial, like it's basically hereditary. And so the book is kind of like Dracula in the sense that there are like cutouts from interviews and police reports and stuff like that. Kind of like, you know, it's not just like a story thing. Like there's like that's a Q&A in there from the police. So she starts developing these powers that her mom recognizes because the grandmother also had these powers. And one of her bullies has like this existential crisis and she wants to do right by Carrie in some misled teenage kind of way because they are teenagers. Although that also got me like weird thinking with the book because even the girl Sue, I think her name was, um, you got like different point of views, like as it's happening and like later on in the future after the disaster. And Sue talks about as a teenager, she talks about, yeah, like I need to own up to my shit and I need to like, fix this and I want to be a better person. And she has like a lot of internal struggle. And then you pan to her as an adult and she's like, yeah, we were just kids and stuff like that. And it's really weird and interesting to see, I guess, how the passage of time kind of warps their own perspective on things, which I thought was pretty cool. But I'm just doing this like not spoiler free. It's easier for me. I'm sorry. If you don't want spoilers for your reviews, um, I'll put like in a description what I rank the books, I guess, if you want. But yeah. So she develops these telekinetic powers, and she starts standing up for herself, right? But it's something very foreign to her. It's not something she's ever done before, and like for everyone that does remember how to be a teen, like what it was like being a teenager, you know that everything is like intense, and it's even more intense for her. Um, so she gets set up by Sue to go to the prom with Sue's boyfriend, and it's a sweet gesture. And Carrie is not stupid; like she knows that he's kind of being put up to it, and the guy realizes that no, he kind of does want to take her. Although I would like to think that's true, obviously. But later on, like as her telekinetic powers are like amplifying more and more, you realize that she does have like mental influence on everyone around her. Like there is a point where I'm wondering like how much of it was him, like genuinely like no, he's a good person. He's like a teenager. And wanting to like help make her feel more comfortable, I guess, at the party. But at some point there's like a flip of the switch, right? And it's kind of at that point that I'm like, okay, well, how much of it is him? How much of it is her? The antagonist of the book, because I also had it as the antagonist, right? So I don't really know. There are a lot of antagonists in this book, I feel. Obviously, what Carrie did is not okay. Like, no, you don't do that. But she is also very much a product of her environment. And if we take that into consideration, her mother could also be seen as an antagonist. The town could be seen as an antagonist, which is what she believes. Obviously, that's how she rationalized what happened. And at the end, I think the antagonist is really society. Society. But it was a short read. Uh it feels a little different than the other Stephen King novels I've read. I think it feels closer to what's it like Beautiful Creatures, the one where women go to sleep and they don't wake up. But I had fun. I'm happy I read it. I've got a few bookmarks here. I don't remember what it's for. Ah, religious trauma. Okay, so let's read my book tabs for this. And Eve was weak, and say it, woman, say it. No, mamma, please help me. The foot swung. Carrie screamed. And Eve was weak and loosed the raven of the world, mamma continued. And the raven was called sin, and the first sin was intercourse. And the Lord visited Eve with a curse, and the curse was the curse of blood. And Adam and Eve were driven out of the garden and in the world, and Eve found that her belly had grown big with child. So, yeah, imagine living with that. That's not great. She also puts Carrie in like this little room, and I don't know if it's a painting that's in the room with Carrie, but it's dramatic. It's I hated every second that she was in that room because I was in there with her and I wanted to leave. Okay, so this is from the point of view of Sue, I think. Susan, sorry. But hardly anybody ever finds out that their actions really actually hurt other people. People don't get better, they just get smarter. When you get smarter, you don't stop pulling the wings off of flies. You just think of better reasons for doing it. Lots of kids say they feel sorry for Carrie White, most girls, and that's a laugh. But I bet none of them understand what it's like to be Carrie White. Every second of every day, and they don't really care. Do you? I don't know, she cried. But someone ought to try and be sorry in a way that counts, in a way that means something. See, and this is Susan as a teenager, right? Which feels very thoughtful and empathetic, and probably also after the disaster that happened. and losing many of her friends, she's jaded and she has a different point of view as an adult. But I do think it's interesting that she went from this to that, I think. But obviously, like, circumstances. It would be uplifting if we could believe that adolescent human nature is capable of salvaging the pride and self image of the low bird and the pecking order with such a gesture, Jerome has said in a recent issue of the Atlantic Monthly. But we know better. The low bird is not picked tenderly out of the dust by its fellows. Rather, it is dispatched quickly and without mercy. Which is, I guess, their way of saying that teenagers scared the living shit out of them. Which, I mean, fair. I've been a teenager. I scared myself too. So, Carrie, Stephen King, I give it a 3.5. The second book I ended up finishing is um Novelist as a Vocation. I really like reading Haruki Murakami books, and I know, and turns out he knows, that people have feelings around him. Uh, Very strong feelings. I don't blame them. Obviously, like, I've read most of his books at this point, and I know that there are some things that I'm also like, hmm, it's giving can't. It's giving. You could maybe try writing women a little bit better. But other than that, I like the world building. I like the kind of universe he creates. His male characters are fine. It always just feels kind of hollow with his female characters. Or like the endings he chooses for his female characters are kind of like what I'm like. "Hmm." But overall, I do like his writing. And so this nonfiction book is kind of him talking about his journey as a writer as well. Um, he used to go to university when, according to him, it was very easy to get into university or like get your points and not really do the work, I guess. And it was during what, the 80s? Which is really a weird concept for me to grasp. That I'm reading someone's work that I relate to. That's also something he mentions. He's actually surprised by the diversity of his readers, and it was really nice to see as well that like his point of view of like people that read his novels and just like being a writer in general. And he talks about how he was just some dude who owned a jazz club, was married, and decided one day, I've got a story, I want to write it. And he just sat at his kitchen table and wrote it. And so the chapters are they're conversations essentially, and I guess that's what I really like about it is that it feels like you're having a conversation with him, not like a lecture and he's talking at you, but like he's actually like being a little bit more vulnerable, being a bit more personal. He talks about some of the criticism he got, some of it that he just didn't really understand, or he gets it and he doesn't really know what to do about it, and kind of like the weird pressure that some authors might put on themselves as well. And overall, I think it was like, okay, I don't have the physical copy with me because I had to mail it or I put it in storage. I couldn't bring I had 10 boxes of books. I have a problem. And that was after I got rid of a lot of them. So that's it. I do recommend reading it. He's really honest about his writing and kind of also shows that he does have like imposter syndrome almost. Because like I said, he finished uni, opened a jazz club because that's what he like what his passion was, music, and then decided to write. And he talks about like it's really weird to think that, I do lectures, I represent Japanese authors, even though a lot of Japanese people don't like his writing, don't consider it literature. And he just stands there and he's like, I'm just a dude, you know? And apparently he's also talking about like, I'm super mundane. There's nothing really interesting happening. And he talks about his writing process. It was really, really nice to see. Very interesting, very informative. So that was that. Then I read Wotakoi, which is a manga about well, dating being difficult for otakus, and you follow two main characters, one of which, and they work together at the same office. Uh, they're both gamers, and they both have their smaller hobbies that are considered nerdy. And by turn of events, they start dating, which is cute. And it's just like a slice of life, them navigating like their new relationship and themselves and their friends who are like special in the sense that they're constantly fighting. And you find out, like, I think it's in the second volume that they're dating. And it's really funny. And once they cross player, so they cosplay, cross dress cosplay. I need I might need more coffee. Super wholesome. As someone who likes gaming, likes reading, likes cosplay, I very heavily relate to these characters. And what makes it great is that they're not high schoolers. Okay, these are adults. They work in an office. They've got adult jobs and money and stuff like that. So it's really cool. I feel like obviously there's a lot of like I guess teen manga or like manga where the protagonists are like high schoolers that are nice to read, but like as someone who's an adult, I'm also like, what a badass, you know? So this one was one of those good ones. Um, I think I don't know if anyone will be interested because I like graphic novels, I like comic books and stuff like that. But I don't know if people consider it like part of book YouTube, you know? So I don't know if you guys would be interested in like um mangas or webtoons that follow more adult protagonists, I guess. Let me know. And yeah, that's it. I love the manga series. It's not complete. I only have the two volumes. I don't know if like online probably translations are complete or like how many volumes are in total. But I do recommend it if you want like a funny, cozy kind of romance thing. It doesn't show spice, if I remember correctly. But the brain is not braining, so the brain might have forgotten. And then we're gonna talk about Never Whistle at Night. Never Whistle at Night is a short story anthology collection of native or like indigenous, creepy, scary, dark stories. I I read it as an ebook. I'm not really used to reading ebooks on my phone. I have a Kindle somewhere back there. But I haven't done it in a really long time. I prefer having the book in my hand and doing the whole annotating, and I like the smell of books. But I decided to get it this way because it would have taken 3 weeks to get the physical copy, and I was in the middle of moving, so that was not gonna happen. And it's so good. There are so many more things that I'm scared of now. um, but this anthology series, um, oh, I forgot about the bingo card. I mean, obviously, Watakoi is a happy book. Uh, it's about romance. Uh, that. And the Murakami book is a nonfiction book. So that was that in the card. Okay. It's not organized. I'm not organized. This is me. um, Never Whistle at Night. Yeah. So it's dark. It has LGBT LGBTQ plus individuals in it. It has um there are some characters in it that I think are disabled. But I wasn't sure how to like if it counts for the thing, for the card. So I didn't click it, I think. Um Definitely abroad. I'm in Europe, by the way. Um, and yeah, it's like a well, okay, so one of the spaces was something like a easy read, a non-commitment read, I guess, and that's supposed to be anthology. This book took me a while to get through, only because not because it's bad, because I after every story I just kind of wanted to sit with it, you know? And the thing that was really nice about this collection is that I read the first story and I was like, whoa, okay, that's good, that's different. And then I read the second one, I was like, ooh, that's also good, it's also different. And that was basically my whole experience with the book. Um, if you want to read it though, I would suggest kindly, um, if you have certain things that trigger you, you might want to find a trigger warning list because there are very dark things that happen, like torture. And, they mentioned the schools that were set up where they took native kids and taught them about Catholicism and things that happened there. Trust me, you're gonna want to look for a list. I was fine going in blind. I was very, I was very taken aback with some of them. Um, it was a ride. I also found via this book because of after every chapter or mini story, you get like a little blurb about the author and some of their other stories, and so I made a bunch of screenshots, and I'm going to look for their books and hope I find them as physical books or not, or I'll just get them as ebooks. But my to be read list grew so much after reading this. The writing is great, and the thing is, there are supernatural horrors because folklore, but there are also just real life horrors. Like people are fucking weird. Like spoiler alert, one of the stories follows a maybe gay, maybe bisexual, uh, indigenous young man who meets a other young man who has a very questionable collection of teeth. There's a box of teeth. Don't worry about it. No, actually, worry about it. I was worried about it reading it, and I was upset that this guy was not nearly as worried about it as he should have been, okay? But the point is, I was really invested in these stories, and I was really happy that I stumbled on it. And so, if I could recommend anything from the books that I've read, this one is definitely it. You should do it. You should read it. I give it a. Did I rank the Murakami book? I give the Murakami book a 4 out of 5, by the way. I rank it, so the Never Whistle at Night, I rank it as a 5 out of 5. They also handle, and this might be, this is definitely biased because I'm foreign in a foreign land, and then they kind of handle that as well. And so there was a lot of things that obviously, culture wise, different cultures, but there were very much a lot of overlap that I could relate with. And so I really liked it. My other book, if I could recommend it, is ooh, Welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop. And I probably really butchered it, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But I really, really like the book. So please take pity on me. Um, yeah. Oh, speaking of, this book is hardcover, right? But it's on printed on. It's not a dust jacket. I don't know why. I really like that. I remember books like when I was growing up that we get in school were kind of like this, and I don't see it as often anymore. But yeah, no, I really liked it. I like the presentation. This is the author. They are well, they study computer science and software engineering, and then became a writer. So the only thing I've learned, well, what among the other things I've learned like during the Blooming Readathon is that writers have a lot of diverse backgrounds. I don't know if you can ever plan to be a writer. I think it just fucking happens. But yes, so you finish. I finish. Finish? You follow a young lady. You follow a woman who is going through it, and she decides, you know what something I always wanted to do was open a bookshop. And so she does it. And the story follows her. Well, it starts with following just her, and then slowly more characters get added. And at some point, you're following what feels like the whole neighborhood, which is great. It sounds overwhelming, but it's really not. And what I really like about this book is that it's my shit, you know? It's like you follow, nothing really happens, is the thing. There's like no great adventure or something like that. I guess running a bookstore would be the adventure. But it's mostly like a group of people figuring out their lives. And there's gonna be someone for everyone to relate to. So you've got the bookshop owner who's maybe in her 30s, around that, a little bit older maybe, who's starting from scratch, who thought she had her life put together and then just has to start completely over again. There's the guy that she hires as a barista who felt like he did the right thing, couldn't really figure out what to do, and just on a whim decided to go there, ask for a job, and he got it. And he's in his 30s. Um, there is a mom that you follow, and for like most of the book, you don't even know her name. And I know, I know there's a reason for that because eventually she talks about, like, oh, I'm not just a mom, like, I'm also this person. She says her name. But it was so annoying to me. The whole time they keep referring to her as, like, oh, this guy's mom. And it's like, okay. But she gets there. And that's the point, I guess, that they all make progress from where they were. And it's really nice and heartwarming. And I've got a lot of tabs. Do you want to see what my tabs are? I'm going to show you my tabs. My tabs. Where's the first one? So this is like at the bookshop. She also does like little events, like she invites authors to talk about books or like a book club kind of thing. And this is like one of those interviews. And the author says, we become more compassionate. To read is to see things from someone else's perspective, and that naturally leads you to stop and look out for other people, rather than chase after success in the rat race. If more people read, I think the world would become a better place. I thought it was nice. This book is really cozy. It's full of like life lessons, I feel. And it's one of those books, at least for me. I don't know if anyone else experiences it. You know how sometimes you read a book just when you have to? It's like, oh, like, let me pick up this random book. And then you read it and you're like, oh, it's like it was meant for me to read right this second. Because that's how I felt about this one. There's a character in here. I guess if you read it, um, you'll understand it a little bit better. And you might understand me a little bit better. There's a character in here who just shows up at the bookstore one day and starts knitting. And that's all I'm gonna tell you because I liked her storyline. And yeah, I think this is definitely one of those books you need to experience. And I mean, there's just a lot to love about this. The ending is also, oh, how to excite. It's like an open ending. So it's not like an ending. It's like life, like it keeps going, but you do realize that everyone's at a point where they're a little happier, they're a little wiser, they've made progress, and some maybe not as much as others, but they're still moving forward as fast, as slow, at the pace that they need to. And I thought that was really comforting and really nice. And so, if I could recommend just something for you to read, take your time, be slow about it, really enjoy this one for a cozy read that might make you cry. I cried. That's because I'm soft. I'm getting softer in my old age. It would be this one. and Never Whistle at Night if you want something more scary and dark and a little twisted at times. But yeah, that was my blooming readathon. I got no bingos. Uh, uh, I don't know if there's a December readathon. Also, thank you for the comments. I saw them. There were some book recommendations in there. If you have any, if you did blooming readathon and you were like, hey, listen, I read this, you should read it, please let me know. I'm thinking of videos to do to kind of motivate me to read more. I have one that I'm brewing on right now, that I'm in the middle of, and I kind of want to do a video of like books that people recommend. So if you, mm, that's gas. Sorry. If you want to participate, give me a recommendation. I will read it. I hope I can get physical copies of it. I can just get ebooks, I guess. And yeah, that's it for me. How did your readathon go? Did you guys actually make your goals? I did not. I have all the other books like up there. I uh I made OBS stop working, so that's fantastic. I'm hoping it recorded everything. Yeah, I got the other books up there. Up there. There you go. My luggage was very, very heavy. So as you can see, I've got plenty to go through. I've got a few back here already for the upcoming video. If you want to take a guess at what the upcoming video is going to be. It's holiday themed, sort of. But yeah, that was me. That was it. And yeah, hope to see you around.